Hey Anko, how you doing? Morning, afternoon. Morning, Damien. Morning to you too. Hope you're well. Let's have a look at what the markets have for us today. So USD CAD, I missed trade on USD CAD. I'm just gonna delete this and just there is another trade opportunity here. I'm just waiting for it to kind of set up. So yeah, thanks. I'll go over that gold trade in a second. So USD CAD, we had this massive expansion down, so we were creating lower lows and lower highs. We failed to take out this low swing structure here, then we had this huge expansion to the top side, which caused that change of character here. Now within that change of character, we got this kind of range and this area of demand that aligned nicely with it, and price reacted from this area of supply over here. So once we reacted from that lower time frame, we're looking at some shift in market structure, which we got coming over here. So you can see price reacted from this area of demand here, but we had already created this expansion, we had this pullback, and we had this breaker structure to the top side. So as price came into this demand, we had a nice change of character. So as the change of character happened here, I had this region marked, and then you could see price came in, tapped into it, and then started to reject. So you could have got a short there, or there was another short opportunity here, which price kind of sold off for close to 50 pips. So as the pullback is now complete, lower time frame, right now we could see we had this expansion to the upside, which is the pullback, and then we've started to, you know, internally shift bearish. Did we close above here? Marginally. So now that price kind of came into, you know, creating these lower highs now, heading back down to these lows, you could see price came back into this after we had a break structure here internally, and we've started to shift now within this pullback. You could see price was creating higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. So, you know, the short really should have been kind of up over here. So on a 15-minute chart, you could see we had this area of supply here. There's the last down candle here. So we had this area of supply here. Price came in, filled out that imbalance, and then started to drop off. So the trade kind of should have been within this kind of range and stops above, and then some profits. I kind of missed this, so looking at seeing if we break this internal uptrend, if we can kind of take out this low and then have some sort of a retracement, and then start to take this back down. And point one would be, you know, I think from higher time frame there's definitely downside, but even if we look at this current swing, this current low, You could at least look to target some inefficiencies and imbalance down here. You know, you have an area of demand here, which from this point would still kind of be like a 40-50 pip trade. So trying to see how this this plays out, and take it from there, because as it stands, price reacted over here from this area of demand, kind of pushed up. So I want to see that lower time frame shift in order for price to continue pulling back on this big push to the upside. So kind of wait and see what happens with that. So gold's in a bit of, obviously there's a kind of a double-edged sword. So gold last night, we could see, so we had this huge push up as the market opened at 11 o'clock, or 11 my time. We had this massive huge push to the upside, and that was broadly down to, I kind of posted it in Discord, it was down to the whole banking, potentially another issue with another bank going under, and that kind of came out last night. So obviously fear in the market, weakness in dollar, and we saw the rally on gold. But as it kind of approached that kind of extreme higher time frame, we aggressively started to reject. Now at that point in time, I was watching this on like the lower time frame, like the 1 minute chart. So you could see here, there is our 11 o'clock open. Boom, we have this big huge candle to the top side, which was 273 pips, and then immediately we started to reject here. Now obviously we didn't break any structure to the downside, but I knew this is like, we're now approaching like heavy resistance territory. Hey Marcia, we're approaching heavy resistance territory up here. So I understand that, and I'm looking at this region here now. So there was the high, and this is the pullback that we had. So I was looking at it and I was like, right, I'll wait for price to come back into this region. Now that there is the last area of imbalance on the 1 minute. If price comes back into this supply and we start to reject, then I'll look at taking a trade, low risk, but I'll look at taking that trade and trading it back down into this area of demand, which is all of this imbalance. And that's exactly what happened. Price came up into this area, rejected here, pushed up, and then as we got this rejection candle here, there was my entry. I think my entry was like around here, and my stops were like slightly above this candle, and then I was targeting the lows back down into this region, just to take out that to fill out that demand, because of that big impulsive move we had to the upside. So you could see over the course of the night, that pretty much perfectly played out, which was like 280 odd pips of a trade. And again, I don't typically go down to that lower time frame, but I did miss a buy opportunity here this morning, because overall we're bullish. You know, we've taken the previous 4-hour structure over here. Not saying we still can't roll over and continue down, because price, you know, where's the highest point? Price closed on a higher time frame, 2049 on a 4-hour chart, 2050 275 region, and we've not 2050, have we closed there? Let's just mark this across and see here. Yeah, so we like marginally closed above it, but we're in heavy resistance. But overall we've been bullish. You know, we took the 4-hour previous high. Overall we're bullish. So this area of demand was what I was kind of looking at, but I was away to drop the kids off in the morning. You can see come down to the lower time frame. Again, why do I use the GAN box? Typically price mitigates that 50% of the GAN box. So you can see if I go on a 15-minute chart, there is the area last down candle before the push up that aligns with a 5-minute consolidation before we pushed up. So as we then come into this region, you could see, you know, you could have taken a trade on the rejection of this by understanding high time frame is bullish, just having your stops below this zone. And at this point, my target, if I was trading this, would have been the current internal 15-minute high, because we kind of had this push down, pull back, and push down. So we're currently working with like this swing range here, that low, that high, and this low. So you could have had a nice pullback trade up to this point, and you could see, or even if you didn't get in on the first entry, you could see price pushed off, reacted to supply, came back down. Now if supply was going to achieve its objective here, we would have broke through this and created a new low. So where we had this push down, we would have had a pullback here, and then we'd have had a new low form. But we didn't. Price came in here, closed perfectly within our fib, and then here, as this candle started to push up to the upside, you could have just got in there and just had your stops below this zone. And again, like I said, could have targeted the pullback region, which sits somewhere around here, which would have still been like a 120 pip trade on gold. So from a lower time perspective, the buys were really good. I just wasn't on the charts at that point in time to capitalize on it. So now for gold, what am I really looking at? There could be two scenarios here. You know, I would have preferred for price to break above this swing and then pull back, and potentially look to buy this back up to this area of supply that's unmitigated yet. Because again, overall we are still bullish. You know, there's our high, there's our pullback, and this is kind of like the continuation that's currently happening. So I am expecting price to head back up at least into 2055, where there was that sell-off originally happening from, and where we kind of got those closures. So there could be like a low risk entry, where if we look at this current swing, you know, we have an area of demand that's here. That's unmitigated. We do have some equal lows here. That's liquidity, and we do have inefficiency and imbalance here as well. So, you know, this is the current swing we've had this morning. So we could get a retracement back into here to continue pushing up into this region, because overall price action is bullish. But again, like I said, if that was to happen and I saw price respect this area, it would be low risk because we haven't broken above this swing. I would have much preferred this. I would have definitely gone in with more confidence if price broke above and then came back before coming into this. Now, if price just came above there and then started to come down, would I look to buy from here? No, I wouldn't, because if price comes up to this region and we don't break through this and we start rolling over, then what are we doing internally? You know, we created a high pullback. If we failed to create a new high here, then this could just act as an area of internal structure to continue pushing price down, which again pretty much aligns. If I go to the 15-minute chart, just going to delete this fib for a second, and I mark the high of this to the low of where price has come. Look where this area sits. So this could act as an early point of reversal if we fail to break above this. So there's a double-edged sword there. You know, it's about looking at things from both perspectives and both angles. And why is the expectation potential sell-off? Because it is extreme high time frame. You know, you look at it on the daily chart, or actually go into the weekly chart. You know, look, we've had wicks into here, wicks into here. Even you look at the monthly chart, wick rejections, wick rejections. So, you know, look at the last month, it closed weak bearish. So we could do the same thing here, you know. But I'm not going to just say because it's in this region, we're not going to continue higher. We absolutely can. But there's a scenario for both sides. You know, there's a low risk buy entry, because if price breaks through this, then there's no reason for price to break through this if it's going to continue higher. Because one, I'm just going to delete this, keep that there. Because one, it's the last area of inefficiency and imbalance. It's the last area of unmitigated demand in this swing structure. So if price breaks through this, then the likelihood is it's continuing down from this point. And again, price could do that, because in this internal down structure, you know, we had this low, we had this pullback, we had this low, we had this pullback, and price could continue doing that if it wanted to. So there's a logical place that I'm expecting price, if it comes back here, to potentially look for a trade. But like I said, that would be low risk purely because we didn't break above this. If we had broken above this, then I would have looked for, I would have gone in higher risk. So hopefully you kind of get my drift, and that's, you know, that's how you want to start to see the markets from an internal perspective. So like I said, understand the fact that not just because it's supply or demand. I understand if price failed to break previous structure, but I also understand price overall is bullish. And we do have news. Do we have ECB news? Has that come out yet, actually? Yeah, the rates, what was the rates? 3.75, so as expected. So I'd probably be expecting Euro USD to be coming down. Yeah, interesting. So Euro USD, so that's gold. I'm just going to stick an alert here. And like I said, this just acts as a good area of a potential sell-off if price fails to break above it. Now, if price comes into here and just has a bit of a reaction and starts to push higher, then there's no short. You kind of want to see multiple rejections within this area to then kind of short. And then where is the range that we have? You know, we have this, price is a bit messy here, but we have this 4-hour structure. You know, we have this low to high here. So even if we mark the lowest point, which is here, to the high, we have all of this inefficiency for price to come back into this extreme area of demand, which sits at 2000. So we could come back and test this 2000 region before going off. It doesn't absolutely mean price has to go off to the top side from here. So for now, I'll just mark this low to this high. Just gonna get rid of this demand because that's been mitigated. Actually, I'll keep it because it is quite a strong area of demand. So yeah, Euro USD, I think we could see some downside, and obviously we've seen a pop on DXY. So DXY could kind of pull back here before it does this, or this area could act as an area of support. So 4-hour, we could see price close below the above the previous 4-hour. So the current 4-hour range that we have is this low here and the current high. Now within that, we can see when price was pushing up, you know, it's creating like 15-minute structure, which again, pretty much here was, you know, we had this kind of weak structure that was kind of forming, but then we had this push up here, and then we broke the low here. Now, I was originally looking at this region, so we had a change of character here, but I just didn't want to look to take a trade or trade that 4-hour pullback because we had news coming out. Now, if I mark this high to the low, you could perfectly see price wicked above to mitigate that imbalance. We have this area of supply. Look where price closes on that GAN box again, at that 50% of the GAN box, and we start to sell off from here. Or if we sold off 35 pips. So if we sell off here, this is great, you know. And again, it's not about being FOMO. Oh shit, I missed the entry here. Yeah, that would have been ideal if there wasn't news. Because we had already have a 15-minute change of character here, because again we had this last push up and we had the pullback and then this candle closure above this. So this was the 15-minute low that needed to be protected, which failed to do so. So now if we break, then we've had a change of character and then also potentially a break of structure here. So if we do get a break of structure here, something like this, then we've got all of this inefficiency and newly formed supply created for us to then start to trade this current 4-hour pullback. But again, we need a closure, you know. This could just reject back up. If it closes back up, then, you know, there was the trade opportunity and it's missed, and then we kind of leave it. But if price closes below this low, then we have further confirmation in taking these shorts. Euro USD. So if there's any pairs, just drop them in the chat that you want me to have a look at. Now this is a prime example. You know, I had this area set out. Price marginally missed the zone that I was looking at to take an entry. It is what it is. There's not much I can do. You know, what did it miss my area by 1.6 pips? Such is life. You know, these things happen. I had this zone perfectly marked up. This is up 25 pips at the moment. I think it was the same with pound CHF. No, let's go back to this. And depending on what the news comes out for unemployment claims, we could see. So overall, AUD USD has been bearish. No worries, I'll look at GU. So if we look at the higher time frame, so we had a 4-hour breaker structure here. So there was our 1 second, why have I got this here? So yeah, price hasn't fully pulled back here. I'm expecting still some upside. So we had this 4-hour high and this 4-hour low, and we have this perfect area of supply sitting within this, and some imbalance that hasn't been filled yet. So you could see on the higher time frame, price in this pullback A-mills. Are you surprised? We'll have a look at oil as well. So you can see, if we go to the 15-minute chart, we had this downtrend, and then we had this big change of characters: a high, 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 low, high, 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 low, and now price is looking at creating the next high to take this high out and continue pushing up to mitigate that 4-hour zone that we've got here as a pullback. You know, we have that supply, we entered a pullback, so that's where I'm expecting price to head to mitigate this back up into here before we sell off and take out these lows, because we came down to these equal lows here and create some more liquidity to eventually take. So I'm still expecting upside. You know, the mistrade was in this region here. You know, looking at the 15-minute, you can see we had a 15-minute breaker structure here after this pullback from this low to this high. Price perfectly respected this fib zone and then continued pushing higher. Now in this pullback that we were having, you can kind of see we came down, we had a pullback, we then came down, and then we had a change of character. So we reacted off of that fib zone. This downtrend of this pullback came to an end because we had a change of character above here. And now I'm just looking for price, and we created demand. So we had a change of character here. So I'm just seeing if price can come back into this area of demand, mitigate this, fill out this inefficiency, tap into this zone, see some rejection, and there could be a nice trade opportunity from like this 50% zone. You know, stops below here. Target 1 is like target that week high, which is like still a 1 to 8 trade, nearly 1 to 9, and then if we break above that, look to take to the highs, which is the 4-hour pullback zone. Just gonna set an alert here. What time do we have unemployment claims? Oh wow, we have unemployment claims in a minute, guys. Let's see what happens here. Let's see what the numbers come out. We have So let's see, does price just shoot off? Does price come in here, bounce in here, respect this zone, and then push up to the upside? So if it's weak, if it's bearish numbers for the dollar, then we can expect this. If price can come down here, mitigate this, then could be something. Now again, don't put limit orders. Don't just gamble or look to take any trades. Just be patient. You know, price might not come down. Price might just react off of this internal structure it's created to the top side. But we'll wait and see. Euro's broken, so it must be strong news for the dollar. Dollar's pushing up. Euro USD looks nice, guys. We've now created a nice breaker structure with all of this inefficiency. So unemployment claims forecast was 242. And it came in at 239 was forecast. It came at 242. So there's some weakness there, but you're seeing some sell-off here. Interesting. Weird. To be fair, I wouldn't class it as bullish news for the dollar, to be fair, because you'd want to see the labor market be strong. You'd want to see the labor market be tight, because that's the only thing that's going to keep the central bank hiking rates. If they're seeing unemployment increasing and stuff, then they're less likely to increase interest rates, which is bearish news for. I think this sell-off is more aligned with the ECB only going 25 basis point, because there was potentially an option of a 50 basis point rate hike on the table, which obviously didn't happen, and it was a 25 expected. Gold hard selling off into this zone. Anyone catch this bounce on gold? DXY, yes. I was saying in comparison to the sell-off, it's not too bad. So if anyone caught this, I bought in here. I'm up 32 pips on this. Just be mindful. I would take partials at this area of supply. Not that I expect it to hold up, but just take some off the table and manage risk. So like not even 10 minutes on the stream, guys, already trade in the bag. What did we say? So again, I've taken profits off the table purely because this is an area of supply. It is news. I've already traded gold. I don't need to be in here crazy, and just manage risk. Now, do I expect this supply to hold? I don't know. You know, I doubt it because it didn't cause, you know, yes, it was aggressive selling, but it didn't cause any, you know, it didn't have a break of structure or anything. So, you know, you could see price coming back and retesting this kind of area and wait for a retest before you enter. But again, you know, I took it as we flipped into it and as we reversed. My trade was here. My entry was just over here. So I took partials there. So I took partials literally at 33 pips here. Now again, like I said, price could retest, price could start coming down. You know, if you didn't get in, then I would say just, you know, just wait, just see, do you get a retest back into this area? As long as we don't break out of this demand zone, you should be good. But if we do, and like I said, the reason more why I took more off the table is part of the analysis was this push up failed to break above this high, and this is the swing high of this move in the down push. No worries, Anchor. So, you know, this was the previous high. So it's just managing that risk. Like I said, if we had broken above this, I would have gone full risk in here. Well, probably not full risk because it's news trade, but I would have gone in higher than what I did, and I probably wouldn't have taken as much off the table as I did when price came to this supply. But like I said, you know, do I expect the supply to hold? Probably not. But at the same time, we have to factor in we never broke above this internal structure here. But either way, the quickest 40 pips you'll make, 35 pips you'll make. And I'll just see where the runner goes, if it goes anywhere. Let's see if we can, number one, target break of this, and then target the highs. The psychology should be you trust the process. You spent enough hours in truly understanding what you trade. A lot of people assume they know what they trade. Well, we all have emotions. I have emotions. We do. When real money's involved, you have emotions. But when you've truly spent the time, most people assume that they've spent enough time learning a strategy and truly understanding market structure, when in reality they haven't. You know, it's a self-belief that they have when they haven't spent the time or grafted. So the only time you're going to truly be able to master your emotions is when you've done that. If you're emotional, you don't have the belief and confidence in your strategy to the core. Yeah, gold could, and like I said, I removed most risk off the table at that area of supply purely because we didn't break the previous structure to the left. The 30-minute imbalance doesn't really concern me because eventually that will get filled. It's more looking at structure and looking at what structure has done. Now, like I said before this price action played out, if price had broken above that internal breaker structure to the left first, I would have been a lot more confident and I would have managed it in a bit of a different manner. So never factor imbalance and stuff ahead of structure and your zones that you're looking at chart. Imbalance will eventually get filled. So now it's like chilling. If this continues higher, great. If it doesn't, I've caught a news reaction trade. I've caught 40 plus pips. And my runner can get stopped out. Happy days. How many people are catching a trade? 15 minutes coming on a stream. You're sitting there for hours trying to do an analysis and break this down and break that down. But this could nicely continue pushing up. Give me a sec, be right back. We never broke the previous high. Yeah, we never broke this high. So this, it's a double-edged sword, right? You got to see this from both perspectives. Internally, we never broke this high to give us valid 100% confirmation that price is going to continue higher after this pullback. So you would really want this high to break to have more solid confirmation. But the higher time frame is bullish, because this was our push to the upside. This was our retracement. So once the pullback is complete, the natural course of price should be to head towards this side. So that it is a double-edged sword, because internal we haven't shifted. So internal, there's always a risk that price could create a lower high, and then create a lower low, and then shift. So the shift is what gives us the higher time frame confirmation that the higher time frame is shifted back into an uptrend. And obviously we never had that. So there's a balance between both sides, and it's understanding that and being able to not guess where is price going to go. It's managing your risk accordingly based on what you see happen. So that's why even before the news came out and this trade played out, that's exactly what I said. Number one, I wasn't going in with my normal risk because we never broke this previous high. And number two, because we never did that, there's a risk that price doesn't continue that. But number three also, so this could come back and retest here. This, we didn't aggressively just sell off. We could have had a minor reaction here and we could have sold off. So price did still respect this pullback. So as long as, even if price comes down here back into this range and then kind of starts heading off, as long as we do not break below this zone, here's our push up, this is our retracement. From here we should continue up if we're going to go bullish. So the logical place below this, the trade becomes invalid. Kobo price can do any of that stuff. It could absolutely do any. I always say to people, it's a game of probabilities. You just got to align your rules and your understanding of the markets and your back testing and what you've seen play out how often in the markets, and manage risk based upon that. Like I said, we never broke above this previous high here. So the confidence level of price continuing up was a 50-50, because we are still bullish overall. But this never broke above. But in the same breath, we did push off here nicely. So we created this impulsive move. Yes, we haven't broken above, but the higher time frame is still bullish. So the expectation is that the reversal point and price continuing higher from here should be, because price has reacted from this demand. So this demand should be the focal point, which is going to cause this pullback to come to an end. So this entire price action is a pullback, and the likelihood of what's going to cause this pullback to finish is going to be an area of demand. Now, it doesn't logically make sense that. Now again, logic doesn't mean it can't happen, but for price to continue higher, then to have a break, to come all the way back down here to do that, yes, it can happen, but the likelihood of it is pretty slim that's gonna be the case. But all I can say is master market structure. I promise you, if you invest the time and effort in mastering market structure, you will become a better trader without a shadow of a doubt. See Euro USD. So Euro USD's had a nice momentum shift. Now again, why is Euro USD rejecting from here? Just because we have an unmitigated area of demand here. But we've had a change of character, breaker structure. So we have a nice point up here, area of supply created now for price to head back into. No worries, Anchor. Take care. I'm marking all this way up. I'm just going to have this down where I close most of my trade and see what happens. GJ, look how horrible GJ is. Come on, gold, you're gonna push up? You're gonna give us some more money? Or not? Let's go back to USD CAD. So USD CAD is pushed off nicely, shifted bearish. So now, like, I didn't catch the trade here, so the next trade has got to be like a break of this and some sort of a pullback as a continuation. But that's kind of getting halfway into the trade. Ideally, I would want to get into this up here, like I already explained. If you didn't see, go back and watch. The trade would have been really up here, or even a retest off of the zone back in here, which I didn't manage to catch. If there's any pairs, guys, let me know. Yeah, as I was saying before, like literally missed my CAD CHF buys by like literally less than two. Well, I would have waited for it to come into this 50% area, so like 3.5 pips. Missed my bias by 3.5 pips. Crazy, up 40 pips. Thoughts on GA? So GA is so the last push up we had here, we entered a pullback. You know, we were close for that pullback being complete. GA, so GA is coming back into an area of supply. So realistically, if there's any trade on this, so if there's any trade on it, so the last push up we had was from here. You can see price came into demand and continued higher. So we still do have some supply sitting above at this extreme. So either price comes back into this region here, or the current 15-minute structure, you know, we created a high, pullback, create a high, pullback. If price comes up into this supply and fails to break above, then you could see, right, okay, the pullback is come to an end and we're continuing lower. But overall, there's not much in terms of demand. There is an area of demand down here that price can kind of come down to, and price is reacting from like higher time frames. So you could see this area of supply here, which you could see prices rejecting. So we had major sell-offs. So I would probably expect some more downside, in all fairness. Gold pulling back. You can see this supply, which sits on a, there's the weekly. So price came into that 50%, refined that down a little bit more. And you can see we have it there. So this is a strong area. You know, we sold off aggressively from this point, like 1700 plus pips. So I would personally be looking for more downside from this point, because even on a daily we had this break structure to the top side. So we have a huge daily range. to work within. But for that, you're at the 4-hour swing low to break. So that's what I would say. Either price is going to continue higher and wait for a shift here. Because, yeah, I would probably wait for price to push higher, because this supply never caused a low to break. So how much validation is in that supply is yet to see. And we kind of smashed through this, so we mitigated that fib zone. But you kind of want to see what happens here now. Where's the gold? What's gold doing? Gold reacted from that. Yeah, we could see. So yeah, G, I would probably say see if it comes back up into like 1 point, just below 1.9 kind of region. Come on, go. Pullback complete. Let's go. Keep going. Could see some nice continuation buys on Euro JPY if the current 1 hour pullback reaches 147.7. So Euro JPY. Yeah, so Euro JPY, I've got like a zone. I've got this area marked, so I'm expecting it to head up to that 1.55-ish region. So last breaker structure we had was here, so here's our structure. Kind of have this zone, so I've got this area marked. So realistically 1.47, yeah, kind of like what you've got. I'll pull back into this region and seeing lower time frame shift would be great. So you know, you can see in this 4 hour we're creating some 15-minute structure, lower low, lower high. We had this low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. So if we can continue coming down into this region here and then see a shift, we could then look to buy this up. So yeah, it's coming into a good pullback area. Patience, patience, patience. There we go. Oh, come on. What else do we have? What else do we have? This pound CAD. Not much happening with that. Yeah, Euro USD's moving nicely now. But again, like, it's a difficult one because we now have this 4 hour range, and if Euro USD pulls back into this region, then you know it's about looking for buyers, not sellers, because then the pullback is complete because the 4 hour is bullish Actually, the 4 hours bullish, where's our low to high? Yeah, so there becomes our 4-hour range. We had this pullback, price failed to break above here. Yeah, so then if price collapses into this region here, into that 1.09706, then unless it smashes and breaks through that, then we should be looking for buyers, because got 4-hour higher high, higher low, higher high. There's the higher low region to then continue pushing up. But obviously if it breaks through this, then the expectation is price comes into this demand to pull back, because then we've had a change of character, and then we can start looking for shorts, which is trading the daily pullback. You know, so there's a situation on both sides, but that's what you got to understand. When is the pullback complete? If price comes into this region with a huge sell-off, then there's no short in this when it comes up here. Then we should be looking for buyers from this point, you know, and on a 15-minute within this region, we have a perfectly unmitigated area of demand, which is here. You know, but if from here price pulls back, then yeah, we should look to short down to here. So any other? We got some CAD news at 3, but that's about it. And then tomorrow's a big one. We have NFP tomorrow. Looking at NAS to complete its current pullback around 12.87 for continuation buy. Yeah, NAS. So I missed sales on NAS yesterday. Now, again, it was news. So going to NAS, I kind of shared that. NAS was. I obviously had this short here from up here, but at that point I was trading the pullback of this move. So we had this push down. Then we had this move up, and then internal structure shifted. So I was trading the pullback off of this. Well, once this broke and we had an internal breaker structure, we then had this range. And then high probability was prices entering the pullback off of this. Then obviously yesterday, that's what we got in news. We had this area of supply. That perfectly aligned supply, and then price sold off. So 12.8, yeah, that's kind of what I would be saying. You know, you got this low to this high. You've got this region here now. It becomes a bit messy here now. Does price come in as deep as this, or just does it react from this area of consolidation and pushes off? We'll need to wait and see. But I'm looking at that as well, and I'm expecting higher time frame to push bearish once it mitigates this daily zone up here. You know, you could see we've got this daily area of supply. So we had this big push up, had a breaker structure above this in like this lower time frame daily structure. So oops. So we kind of had this pullback here, and then we had this push up. Okay. Yeah, so we had this, and then we had a break above. So now we have this area of demand where price is pulling back into. So from here, continuations up makes sense, and only makes sense for price to at least sell off from this point. So even if it's a pullback, because we've got this push up, this retracement, this push up, then this area could act as a pullback as a first point down to 12,000 area, and then either we break through on the daily or we kind of then roll over. So you see how you just have that methodical approach of price action, market structure, and just patience. Yeah, gold is just like choppy. Oh, look at Euro pushing up aggressively. As you can go flip from here. Is anyone else? Did anyone else take gold? Did they have a runner running still? Or closed out or didn't take it? NZD CAD. Let's look at NZD CAD. Yeah, so NZD CAD, I have it in this. So originally NZD CAD approached this weekly area, and then we start to sell off from this weekly area of supply, or weekly pullback, and this supply zone here. And then on a daily, we started to have these. And you just got to remember, like, how much momentum or how much importance you give these, because these are all internal daily pullbacks. You know, these are all internal, so at any point it can flip and just change. So yes, this is the pullback. We haven't yet mitigated this, so we could come down, but in the same time we are kind of in this, I don't like using them much, but we are in this so-called channel, you know. And typically you do sometimes see these, you know, descending channel, and we could see boom, something like that, to go back up and retest this, because this is internal. Like, if this wasn't internal, if price came down here and created a new high and then had a change of character, are we more inclined to seeing a deeper pullback or a continuation down? But because this is all internal, it's really difficult to comfortably be like, you know, are we going down, are we going up? Because it all is internal. DXY reversing. But the good thing is, like, if we look at NZD CAD, so yeah, we have an area of supply here. So what you probably want to see is, just going to take this off. What you probably want to see is if you can see a shift, because we've now created a pullback and some structure. If you can see a shift there and a pullback, start trading this down. You know, so we've come to this this area of, so if we look at this price action, this daily swing to the downside, this was the last area of unmitigated supply, which isn't a coincidence, aligns with our fib confluence. And then we had, and we mitigated at the 50% level. So, and what is good is, after this big expansion, we at least created some structure now. Like, if this pullback never happened and it was just like a straight push here, then I would be very, you know, I wouldn't be inclined in looking at taking a trade here. But this is pretty good. So if we can break below this and have a change of character in this high time frame point of interest, then retrace it back into here to short. Looks good on NZD CAD. Alright guys, I'm going to be off. That's me on for an hour, more than what I would want to be on for. So listen, have a good one, have a good day, trade safe, and I'll catch up with you guys soon. Peace.